So we are going to take a look at Captain Benjamin Sisko from Star Trek Captain's Chair. So Sisko is one of the 6 captains from Star Trek Captain's Chair. He is the main character from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He actually started off as a commander and was promoted to captain during the show's run. And if we look at this here, we'll see that this depicts him with the 3 pips, which means that he's actually commander in this card. Interesting they decided to depict him that way. Well, we'll take a look at his board here. One of his missions is a call to arms, which is have 4 ships deployed, have the influence at 7 or military at 7 or more. The reward is enlisted development, reducing the cost by 1 dilithium or 1 latinum for each starbase you have in play. On the advanced mode, that is 4 points. For 5, you have Bajor's application to the Federation. Have 2 Starfleet, excluding your captain, and 3 Bajoran in play. Have a ship at Bajor. The reward is trigger a control operation of one of your controlled locations. Refresh Bajor. Contact a Dominion, which is 3. Have 3 Dominion or Changeling in play. With the reward, gain 3 influence. Scan 1 either of person, cargo, or ship, and draw 2 cards. So let's get a look at what all is going on with Sisko's deck here, and we'll see what all is going on with him. So we see that he is the captain here with transcendent Starfleet and human traits. He has 6 OA teams, which is the most that you can have. Most of the others have 5, with one having 4. His reaction is after you take control of a location, gain 2 dilithium. That's a really good ability. You just need to remember it. He has a action activation, which is send an away team to a location with Starfleet or Starbase. The end game is score 1 for each controlled location you have in play. So he likes getting a lot of controlled locations in because you get extra points for the controlled locations. You've got 6 away teams to help you get those controlled locations. He can send away teams out, but they are limited to Starfleet or Starbase. So you'll have to find other ways to get them out to other locations. Note that it does not have to be a controlled location with Starfleet or Starbase, just any location. There are a number of neutral locations that have Starfleet and Starbase tags. We'll look at Deep Space Nine, which is a ship. It's a ship? Well, okay, it's a ship. Not sure why they didn't just make this a location, but it's a ship. There's reasons because of the way it interfaces with other things there, but this will start off deployed. The passive on this is the big one. This ship cannot be warped. Just sits on the table there once it's deployed. Has Cardassian and Starbase traits. The play activations just deploy this card. And we see it has 2 of the 3 standard activations for the flagship. Of course, it doesn't have the 3rd one because you can't warp it, so it doesn't have that. Since this card pretty much just sits there and you don't deploy it, it tends to not get recalled and go off the table a lot. So it's a good place to stick cards at. The only way this could ever end up going back into your hand is if the opponent has an effect that makes you recall one of your ships. If you don't have any other ships out there, Deep Space Nine technically being a ship would have to go back into your hand, and any cards you had tucked under it there would go back to your hand as well. But generally a pretty good place to just stick people at to pull them out when you need them. Bajor, a location. This is a controlled location that you start with. It has a Bajoran tag there, and it has 1 influence skill. Activation, if you have an away team here, draw a card. If you have 3 or more total away teams on 1 or more controlled location, draw a card. Now, most all of your captains have this effect somewhere. Captain Sisko starts off with it on the table there, being a controlled location. Sisko himself cannot send the away team there. because he has to send it to one that has Starfleet or Starbase traits, and Bajor does not have that. So going into the base deck cards here, start off with the USS Rio Grande. I don't recall it ever having USS designation in front of the name. Maybe they decided it did, but I don't ever remember that on the show. Anyway, it's a ship with a Starfleet trait. Action, play, deploy this ship. Free play, gain 1 dilithium. Then you may either beam a card to a ship or call a card beam to a ship. Action play, send an away team to a location where you have a ship. Then the activations are spend 1 to warp the ship and discard a card to beam a card here. So this is a ship that you can use for other things because of these other 2 here. Either beaming cards on and off of ships. You can get a card off of a ship that has already been exhausted. And this is a way that you can send away teams out to places. You just have to have a ship to get it out there. Now, this is the only ship in your base deck there, and obviously you don't start off with one. Well, you start off with Deep Space Nine, but you can't do a lot of the ship things with it. So finding this early is good, although you probably need to find some other ships. Kiraneris, a person with Bajoran attack and ops traits. The attack play, find people of Bajor and dismiss an opponent, Cardassian or Dominion of your choice, and promote this card to duty officer. Action play, gain 3 military and 1 glory. Your opponent gains 1 influence. So this one is nice to move that track up here. It does give your opponent a little bit of influence, and you have to grab a glory off the card, which you may or may not want to actually do. Her reaction, after an opponent takes control of a location, draw a card and gain 1 dilithium. Now the attack play here of finding people of Bajor, there aren't a lot of Cardassian and Dominion people out there, persons with those traits, so you tend to not have a lot of those to dismiss. The main reason you would want to do that is to get people of Bajor, which we'll get into a bit. It's in the reserve deck, and it's not that people of Bajor is amazing, but if you can grab this out of your reserve deck earlier, that's one less card you got to go through in the reserve deck to start getting into the developments. So usually that first time that Kira comes up, you want to go ahead and pull people of Bajor out. If you haven't already done that. Jadzia Dax, a person with Starfleet, Scientist, and Trill traits, and 1 science skill. Action play, gain 1 of the 3 tracks there, whichever is the lowest. You choose in a tie. You may spend 1 latinum to do this a second time. Action play, spend 1 latinum to return an incident and gain 1 glory. Reaction, when you would gain a card, scan 2 of the same suit instead. I'm mainly going to be using Jadzia for these effects here. Moving up, tracks is nice. I mean, you can only do 2 on 1 play. Some of the incidents, it's nice to be able to not have to do what it says on them. It is nice for some of the incidents to not have to do what it actually says on it, because this isn't free play, this is just return. And besides costing you the latinum, you do gain a glory off of it, which once again, do you want to get the glory or not? Quark, who is not an officer, but still can be your duty officer. Business, Ferengi, and Shady traits. Action play, spend 1 latinum to scan 1 of person. If the gained card is business, draw a card. If the gained card is shady, take an incident. So you can get person out of the market pretty easy with him. Can hurt you a little bit if that person ends up being shady. Resupply effect for when he is in play. That'd basically be his duty officer. Gain 1 latinum. If you have 2 or more Ferengi in play, gain an additional latinum. And a reaction, after resolving an operation with a latinum cost, gain 1 glory. So this is a good way to just get Latinum going in there. You don't need a whole bunch of Latinum, but you still do need to get some. There's others like Jadzia, and we'll see others like Garrick that need it. So Latinum is good to get. Now that we're past the people, we'll go to the one location that we have here. And that is the Wormhole, which has an anomaly trait, has science and influence skills. Action play. Take control of this location. You may free play a ship. And remember, even though this is one that came out of your hand, as soon as you put it into play, you do gain the 2 dilithium off of Sisko's reaction. The control effect, look at the top 3 location and put them on top and or bottom of their deck in any order. Very nice to be able to kind of know what's going to be showing up, what locations will be coming, and get rid of the ones that you don't want. Activation, discard a person to warp a ship. That's another way to warp a ship. You can warp a ship that has been exhausted. You can play a ship to deploy it. If it doesn't let you warp it when it is deployed, you can discard it and go ahead and warp that one even though it is exhausted. Or you can discard a card to find an anomaly. We'll get into our one incident here, which is Political Crisis. -2 points, as all incidents are. Discard a card to return this card. If the discarded card has influence, skill, or focus, gain a Latinum. And if you have an ambassador in play, return it and gain 1 Latinum. This is the same as the Political Crisis, which is in the base incident deck. We then have 4 directives. These are directives that we see with a number of different captains. Utilize action play, gain 1 dilithium and 2 for each controlled location you have in play. And action play, gain 1 special attract for each matching skill icon you have in play, excluding beamed cards. So either move up your track or get you some dilithium. Probably using it a lot to move up your track because you do have some other ways to get dilithium in there. Recruit. Put a card on top of your deck to gain a person, or take an incident to gain an ally. Analyze. Take an incident to gain a ship. This is the base way to get a ship. Again, you have to get incidents. Sisko kind of needs you to get ships, and really you do need to find one pretty early in there. So you probably got to take that incident early to get it. Action play, discard 2 cards to gain a cargo, or free play, gain 2 dilithium. Set a course. Action play, discard up to 3 persons, the same number of away teams to the same location. This is another great way to send away teams out, since once again he can only send to Starfleet or Star bases. Or to free play, draw a card, then discard a card, warp up to 2 of your ship. Warping up to ship, once again, they can be exhausted ships or ships that were just played. It also draws a card and discards a card. Anytime you can start going through the deck, that is better for you. So we'll go take a look at the reserve deck here. We'll start with People of Bajor. This is the one that Kira can pull out of the deck for you there. They just have a Bajoran tag and our ally. Play, take an incident to gain 1 influence and draw a card. It's not really great for doing stuff. An incident's a lot for just, getting 1 influence and drawing a card. Also play, send an away team to a location. You may spend 2 Latinum, send another away team to the same location. Log this card. So you get to send away teams once. That's probably what you're going to use it for. It is worth pointing out that if you're wanting to try to get Bajor's application to the Federation, you're going to want this Bajoran tag here. Now it's worth showing you here that Bajor has that tag, obviously, and Kira has it. So there's your 3 that you need right there without even having to grab any others. And you can get them all in there pretty quick. I would say that if you haven't gotten application done yet, and you're not ready to do it, probably beam this guy to Deep Space Nine. One guy, but these people to Deep Space Nine. And leave the card there until you're ready for it. Then you can pull out and just leave it there. Then you can just, whenever Kira comes around again, you can get that. Then you can go ahead and do your away team at some point when it's handy for you there. You go ahead and get this card logged and just get it out of your hand. It's good to use once, but that's about all you really want it for, is that one time. USS Defiant, a ship. Starfleet Romulan attack and cloak. It does have Romulan traits on it because the cloak is Romulan. Attack play. Deploy and warp this ship. If the opponent has at least one ship at the USS Defiant's location, force them to discard 2 cards. That's great, making them discard cards. Yeah, we like that. Action play requires 5 influence. Deploy this ship. You may send an away team to a location, ignoring any opponent's ship. You deploy this, it's not going to warp this time, but you get to send an away team out there. And that being able to send it ignoring the opponent's ships is a pretty standard effect for anything that has cloak. Your activations are spend 1 dilithium to warp the ship, or discard a card to beam a card here. Hopefully you find this one earlier than later. Hopefully that's not like your last reserve card, because you want that one early. Odo's a person with changeling and security traits. That's going to be one of your changelings right there. Action play duplicate a play operation of a person or cargo from the market. That can be really good, or it can be just a complete dud, depending on what happens to be out there in the market at the time. There's some that just don't have anything that you want to do, and there's some that would be amazing for you to do. Activation, log a person from your hand or discard pile to draw a card. If the log card is shady, gain 1 glory. If you're wanting to thin the deck out, this will let you get rid of some people. Don't know how much you end up using that one. Odo is kind of a niche use card, not one that you just keep around all the time. Miles O'Brien, a person with Starfleet engineer and human traits. Right down here, this card cannot be promoted. You can't promote Miles. If they don't put this same thing on Harry Kim when Janeway's deck comes out, we all riot. Play. Draw 2 cards and discard 1 of them. Okay, that, like, you do that all the time. Like, you're never upset to see that. So, yeah, O'Brien can just stay in your deck because you're drawing more cards. He's not just drawing 1 and just replacing himself. He's giving you 2. You're discarding 1 of the 2, so, but most of the time you don't have 2 things that are really awesome and amazing that you have to use. You're usually willing to discard 1 of them. The action play, which requires 5 military. Spend 1 dilithium to draw a ship from your discard pile and free play it. Then draw a card. And you think about the ships that have been recalled. Usually ships are recalled because you have them on a location that either you or your opponent has taken control of. And that lets you get that ship back out without having to go through your deck again. It's also 1 less card that'll be in your deck when your deck comes through again. So that could be really good. And it still gives you card draw. It does require an action, but you do get to free play the ship. And usually most ships you're spending an action on anyway. So it's just kind of a wash there. Strange New Worlds. This is another kind of standard directive for the Starfleet captains. Action play. Select a controlled location. If there is 1 away team and 1 ship there, look at the top 2 encounter. Take 1 of them and return the other to the bottom of its deck. Log the selected location to gain 1 science. So this is how you get encounters. You want to get encounters. They're good. Do remember that when you log a location, it's no longer out there. It's each controlled location you have in play. When it's logged, it's not in play, so you lose that 1 point. Now, it's probably still worth doing it because you're usually getting quite a few points from those encounters, especially if you're able to look at 2 of them and pick the one that you want. Your chances of getting something good are pretty high. All right, going into the developments. We're going to start off with Worf, Son of Moog. And this is named Worf, Son of Moog because the card for Worf in Picard's deck is just named Worf. And since the cards do different things, they have different names. And that's something that we're going to see going forward. that as the same character ends up being in multiple different cards, they're going to do variations of their name. Starfleet, Klingon, and attack traits with a military skill, 2 points at the development cost of 2 dilithium. Action play, discard 2 cards to send 2 away teams to the same location. Okay, 2 cards. Having to discard 2 is a lot, but you get to send 2 away team. You cannot discard 1 card to send 1. It is discard 2 cards to send 2. If you only have 1 unassigned away team sitting there in your pile, you're going to have to grab one from a different location and move it there with it when you do this, because it has to be 2. His reactions: when you would be attacked, dismiss this card to ignore the negative effect. That's not bad. Attack activation: remove an opponent away team from a neutral location, gain 1 glory. You'll be able to look at the locations and tell if your opponent would be able to take control of a location, and this would be a way to make sure that they don't get control of one. Julian Bashir, a person with Starfleet, Augment, Doctor, and Human traits. 2 points and development cost of 2 dilithium. A play effect: free play an incident from your hand or discard pile. If you do, gain 1 science. Not having to spend the action on it is awesome, so it kind of just gains you an action. Activation: spend 1 dilithium to choose 2 of the following. Find a person with Spy, find a person with Augment, or find Miles O'Brien, or return an incident. Okay, now I'm going to say that if you're just wanting to draw a lot of cards, being able to find Miles O'Brien could be good, because you can pull him out. So while Julian is your duty officer, you can pretty much just grab Miles and stick him back into play like every turn and drop him in there and do the 2 cards, or draw 1 card and get a ship out of your discard pile. So really a pretty good effect, just based on the fact that Miles is really good. Also, returning incidents. This is not play an incident, this is just return an incident, and it's not even an action to do it. That would also be the same there with O'Brien here. The activating Julian does not cost an action, and playing Miles, if you're drawing the cards, does not cost an action. Free playing the ship cost 1, but you would be spending that anyways, we already pointed out. So really a pretty good duty officer if you want to go that route. Garrick, Cardassian, attack, shady, and spy. And oh yeah, is he shady. 2 points and development cost of 2 latinum. The attack play: choose 2 of the following. Dismiss 1 of your opponent's duty officers, and you draw a card, or gain 1 influence, or spend 1 latinum to scan 2 of person. So you can do some pretty good stuff. The passive effect: increase your hand size by 2. Well, this just straight up lets you draw more cards there. I mean, that's a good effect here with Julian, but this is kind of doing the same thing, and you don't have to discard 1 of them. And O'Brien could just come up and you could do that again. So if you got both of these, you're probably just keeping Garrick, and you don't have to spend the lithium. Starbase 375 with Starfleet and Starbase traits: military skill, military focus, development cost of 4 dilithium. Once again, when this card is played, you are taking control of the location, and you do get the 2 dilithium there. So that is important to remember. The control effect: you may find a ship. Reaction: after putting a ship into play, free play a person. Hey, that could be pretty good. I mean, it's another controlled location. Self-replicating mines with ongoing and attack traits, influence skill, and influence focus. Development cost of 5 dilithium. Attack play: force your opponent to discard a card. Draw 2 cards and discard 1 of them. Deploy this card. Get cards when you play this. Doesn't cost an action. Your opponent has to discard a card. That's all pretty good. The resupply: gain 1 glory. So at the start of every turn here, you're going to be gaining glory in that resupply phase. Do you want to gain glory? Well, that's a good question. You may not want to have this card out there if you're going to do that. But we can look at the reactions. Number one, when your opponent gains influence or military, recall this card. So it can go off of your out of play pretty easily. And the other passive is when you would be attacked, ignore the negative effect and log this card. So one time it can stop you from having something bad happen. That's basically it. It just blows up and goes away there. The Orb of Prophecy and Change, a cargo with Transcendent and Wild Card traits, a science focus, development cost of 3 dilithium and 2 latinum. This has a wild card, which means that if it's in play, it can represent any of these things here for these or for any other cards effects. Play effect, refresh a Bajoran to draw a card. So that would let you play like Kira or People or Bajor itself. Discard a card to find a Bajoran, lets you grab a Bajoran out of your deck there. You're probably gonna, you start off with Bajor, so this would mainly be finding you Kira, unless you're able to pick up another Bajoran, and really, there aren't too many other Bajorans out there that you can grab at the moment. And action play, discard a person to a list of development, reducing the cost by 1 dilithium and 1 latinum. Log this card, probably using it more for that last one and the wild card trait there, although there are going to be some niche uses for these other effects. And finally, Orb of the Emissary, which is an encounter. So Sisko is the one captain that has an encounter in his deck. Has Transcendent, Wild Card, or Anomaly. Once again, that wild card can be anything else. This card cannot be played. But it is 7 points. It does cost 3 dilithium and 3 latinum. Can't be played, but 7 points. You're pretty much just going to get this and probably just like beam it to Deep Space Nine and let it stay there and just be a wild card or an anomaly for you. Just pull it out. Just have that there to use whenever you need it. Maybe eventually log it to get it out of the way. But the wild card can be helpful for a lot of things. Okay, so we can see we've got some unique things going on with his deck here. It is kind of funny here for Deep Space Nine. They give you a standee for it, even though it can't go anywhere. So this is just always going to sit on it. You don't even need it. So looking at these here, going to need to get ships right away because you only have 4 ships. As far as you're having your 4 ships deployed, remember Deep Space Nine does count as one of those 4. So you're going to need to get at least 1 other ship. Probably going to get more than that. Sisko's things are pretty easy to get. That's just because of the number of wild cards that are available and the fact that you've got a number of different ways of being able to get these. Bajor's application isn't that hard to get, and contacting the Dominion isn't that hard to get. Even though there aren't a lot of Bajoran, Changeling, or Dominion cards out there, you've just got, enough wild cards out there that you can pull off finding that. And I think that he probably has the easiest 3 missions on the advanced of all the captains. They are not difficult to pull off. So I'd say you probably want to work on getting ships pretty early on it to be able to get out there and get those controlled locations. You do have the 6 away teams available, which is nice. That gives you a little bit more to work with there. And you want to be able to move up the tracks on these because you've got like on the basic 7, 6, and 6 and 6, 5, and 5 on the advanced. So getting those up can do a lot for you. Let's go take a look at some common cards of interest, and it's a big stack of common cards of interest. I haven't really found any random ones that sync up. These are mainly just cards that help you get your various objectives in the game. So we're going to start off with Durna here. It is going to be one of the few Bajoran traits in the common deck. Kelvis Dox has a Dominion trait. Once again, not very many Dominions. Additionally, it is a starbase along with Deep Space K7, Armagosa Observatory, Regular 1, and Memory Alpha. Regular 1, Memory Alpha, Corvan 2, and Tulgana 4 all have Starfleet tags on them. Going into the people, Loss is the only other thing with the changeling tag aside from Odo, so that's literally it. Rom has a Ferengi tag for pairing with Quark. Bruce Maddox, Admiral Nechayev, Admiral Pressman all have Starfleet traits. Admiral Pressman, Moriarty, Captain Dorg, Harry Mudd, and Lursa all have Shady. And then the 2 spy traits in here that can work with Garrick are going to be Jorrit Dal and Talok. As for your cargo, just 3 here phasers, which have a Starfleet tag. The Orb of Time, which is your other Bajoran trait. And then Ferengi Wine, which is one of the Ferengi traits. On the ships, the Sona Battlecruiser has a Dominion tag. The Pasteur, the Enterprise C, the Reliant, and the Enterprise B. This last one being from the bonus cards. These all have Starfleet traits. The Karema is the only ally of note with a Dominion trait. And going into the encounters, the Koala is another wild card, which is great for any of these. The only other augment I've found for Bashir is the Ancient Gene Fragments. And Wesley Crusher has a Starfleet trait. And so really that's what's going on here with Sisko. He's a bit more straightforward than a lot of the other ones. It's just get a lot of ships, try to get these tracks up here, not just to the 7 that you got to have them at for that, but particularly these here, the military and the influence ones. You're going to be getting a lot of those, so get these all moved up. That'll be the way that you really need to do things to be able to do well with Sisko. So if you found this video interesting, be sure to give it a thumbs up and a like. You can go down to the comment section and let me know what you think down there. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Make sure you catch all the videos I post so you don't miss anything. This is Jeremy with To The Tabletop, and we'll see you around next time.